panic attack. A quite common occurrence in response to a bout of anxiety due to everyday life stresses or something more serious. Sometimes it has no antecedent at all. Studies show that most patients diagnosed with anxiety disorder report work-related anxiety as well. Now, with that being said, today I will be discussing the reality of panic disorder, anxiety in the workplace, and how it affects daily performance. I speak on this topic because I'm awfully familiar with the concept. Due to a plethora of life events, I am very familiar with depressive episodes and anxiety disorders. Some trigger others, while others go hand in hand, and this can make attacks easily obtained when work is added on top of it. To prepare for this speech, I have done research to help you better understand work-related stress and its effects. Panic disorder in the workplace significantly impacts employees' mental health and performance. It could be affecting someone you love in their place of employment. This would have them suffer and make them perform poorly and making them out to be a poor employee when in reality they're just not properly taking care of themselves and or aren't properly being taken care of with their anxiety. It's also possible that you could eventually, at some point in your life, work with somebody who struggles with this and doesn't do the proper things to cope either. So it's imminent that you have this information in order to help provide them with the help and care that they need. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what anxiety disorder is, how it affects people in the workplace, as well as options that you have within your workplace. Let's start by discussing and exploring panic disorder. What is it really? It's defined as a sudden intensive episode of fear or anxiety and physical symptoms based off perceived feelings rather than imminent ones. Here's a list of symptoms that can occur when you're having an anxiety attack. A sudden overwhelming sense of fear, shortness of breath, chest pain, nausea, sweating. Okay? And these symptoms are physically and mentally just draining. And they can cause somebody to seem off or in a funk for the rest of the day when in reality they're just tired because it takes so much out of you. And they're worried that it could happen again because it could happen at any point. You could have a panic attack after panic attack after panic attack. You never know. And according to Panic Disorder When Fear Overwhelms by the National Institute of Mental Health, it is stated that the disorder can be considered hereditary, but there's no real evidence as to why it affects some family members and not others. And the condition is so versatile that even gender plays a part. But it's actually, women are more susceptible to the physical symptoms than men, and women are 2 times more likely to have panic attacks than men. Next, I would like to talk about some work-related panic attacks and how they can affect productivity at home and at work. Okay, it's no secret that work is stressful, and it's no secret that it can cause bouts and bouts of anxiety. Yet people don't always feel open enough to discuss it and speak on it like they do when they talk about stress and everyday stresses. And I believe that's because there's this stigma attached to anxiety that suggests an overreaction and the seeking of attention, when in reality, anxiety is a very serious and very real mental condition that needs the attention. It doesn't just affect the single person, but those around them in their daily life. Here's a real life example. I have a relative and she struggles with depressive disorder and anxiety disorders. And she's an adult. She didn't properly take care of these disorders for years and years and years. So they built up and weren't properly cared for, which resulted in her ending up having frequent panic attacks, which affected her work in her home. It caused her to be unwilling to step out of her comfort zone and unwilling to do anything, really. She was unhappy with her employer, who put a lot of unnecessary stress and pressure on her, which in turn caused her to bring everything home with her because she had to bring work home with her. And she lashed out at everyone and caused fights that would be otherwise completely avoidable. And this argumentative and angry person didn't stem from her herself, but her anxiety that she never took care of. And after some time, she ended up leaving her job and now is in the process of working towards something that makes her truly happy. And there are still bad days. They will never truly go away because it is a mental disorder. It is something you have to constantly work on and constantly get progress on. But now let's talk about how to handle it at work. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, only 9% of affected individuals are medically diagnosed. And I believe that's due to the negative connotation that comes along with the anxiety disorders, because this causes less people to speak on them and how it's affecting them. So what does this mean for work? How do I disclose information with my employer and take the steps I need to be properly taken care of at work? Frankly, the best way to ensure proper care is to just be straight up and upfront with your employer and sit down and develop an action plan for you and your needs. Because if they don't know what's going on, they don't know how to help. Approach them with your concerns and work together. If you feel uncomfortable just doing that straight up, maybe mention it to a coworker or mention it to somebody and allow the higher ups to come to you with a pre-developed plan and get your input on it. And depending on your place of employment, it's possible that they will have a counseling service that you can have access to completely for free. I have a family member that him and his family can get counseling and get lawyers and stuff based off of completely for free, purely because he works there. And there are also these practices called workplace interventions, and this refers to programs and practices put into place to reduce workplace stress and anxiety and promote a healthier work life. Some examples of these practices that companies have taken are increasing break times, encouraging exercise during break times to just really get you where you need to go, and providing more positive feedback and overall revising workplace standards. Because let's face it, there's bound to be some problems in some employment. It's not everywhere is perfect. So in conclusion, if you have a panic disorder, I hope the information that I've provided you was helpful. And if you know anyone struggling, I encourage you to share this with them. Today, I discussed with you what panic disorder is, how it affects everyday life in the workplace, and the options within your employment. Please don't hesitate to get the help that you need to better yourself and to better the life you live. It's okay to be struggling, but it's not okay to sit idle and watch it happen.